Welcome to Hop's Metal Show Live with Chris Taylor from Kickin Valentina. I'm Wes. This is Hop. And Hop, I'm going to turn it over to you to get things started and ask Chris the first question.
All right. And welcome to the show, Chris, by the way. And your band's pretty kick-ass. You want to tell us a little bit about your band? Get started.
The band started back in 2013. And Heber, our guitar player, and Jimmy, the drummer, are the ones that, initially, formed it. And I was actually the last one to join. But yeah, we, when the band first started, we put an EP out on a indie label here in Atlanta called Highway 9 Records. And fast forward, we ended up getting signed to Mighty Music out of Denmark. And we've been with them for, like the last 10 years now, and put out, a couple EPs and, a bunch of full lengths from them, and have been, playing over and going over to Europe quite a bit, since then. But yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. The first couple records, we had a different singer, and then, long story, but we ended up changing singers out, and DK came in right before we did the KS in Copenhagen EP. So that was his first release with us.
Well, Chris, you guys have a fantastic sound. A buddy of ours that will be on the show every now and then, his name's Mike. He wants to know where you came up with the name Kickin Valentina.
All right, yeah, and we get asked this one a lot. The name, Jimmy and Heber came up with the name before I even became part of the band. And I don't know what this says about their, internet habits, but evidently there's a porn star out there named Valentina that her fetish was kicking guys in the balls. And so that the name kind of evolved out of that. So.
Well, interesting enough. Hey, so Chris, for what it's worth, I'm happy that I was wondering, did it have anything to do with Valentina's hot sauce? Because I'm a big Mexican.
No. People like to make jokes all the time, but no, it has nothing to do with the hot sauce.
And for those that are watching that aren't familiar with Valentina's hot sauce and you like Cholula, you're just wrong in a big way.
It is a good hot sauce.
Indeed. And there's a cool band that's named similar to it as well. How about you again, brother?
I guess. Well, we've seen you're from Atlanta, and we've got to know Jackal pretty good here lately. You had any ties with Jackals? Any cool Jackal stories?
No, man, not from me. My our drummer Jimmy knows him, and he knows Jesse, and he knows a couple of the guys in the band. But I personally don't know any of them. I've met a couple of them, like very, very briefly, but I don't know any of those guys. But yeah, Jimmy knows them a little bit.
That's cool.
So, Chris, what I'm going to try to do is try to connect you with Jeff Worley, the guitar player. He and his brother, Chris, right, is his brother's name. They live just outside of Atlanta, not far from there. They live in a place called Seneca, South Carolina, just up 85 from you. And just they're fantastic human beings. I think it would be cool folks for you to know and interact with.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we would love. I've seen Jackal. I don't know how many times over the years. They're always an awesome band live, and we'd love to do some shows with them. So I just throw it out there.
the interaction with Jeff Worley says, as much as I enjoyed seeing them live, I think he's a cooler person.
Okay.
So there's that. Hop, take the next one as well, because this one's all about you.
All right. So I'd seen you had a list of all the bands you opened for, and me and Wes, we are huge Kicks fans.
Yep.
We went and seen them. I'd hate to guess how many times between the two of us. But what was your interaction with Kicks? Did you have any with them?
I think the show that you're referring to is it was up in like Baltimore.
Probably so.
I think it was the Soundwave Music Festival or something like that. we played a show with them. And honestly, no, we didn't even meet them that day. But I've met some of the guys over the years, and it's just like, again, man, it's just very casual, and I don't even know if they will remember even fucking meeting me. But but they've always been very nice guys, and I've seen them play just as a fan a ton of times over the years. But yeah, I think the show that you're referring to was Soundwave, and it was like pissing down rain that day when we played, and we all of our gear got wet, and we had a show the next night, and Ever's amp didn't work when we got there. So
yeah, I'm not sure what it would be to have an outside kick show without it pissing down rain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. But yeah, it was who else? It was like LA Guns was on there, and I don't remember who else. That was a long time ago. That was almost like in the earlier days of the band.
Oh wow!
I say, yeah, y'all was probably just starting then.
Yeah.
So Hop, I'm going to go off script. I'll let you do the one about the review, but before that, I'm going to mention what I said to Chris before we went live. I hear. For me, and this, I mean this as a compliment, I hear a little bit of Shotgun Messiah, early 90s kind of tail end of the hairband era and what you guys do. Was that an influence, or who are some of the influence for you guys?
Yeah, man, we actually all love Shotgun Messiah. Like Second Coming is an awesome record, and I love Violent New Breed, and I like those two records personally more so than I did the very first one, just because they were a little more aggressive and a little heavier. But I mean, Shotgun Messiah, every record had a completely different sound and completely different style. But yeah, I love Shotgun Messiah. As far as other influences go, man, it's kind of all over the place. Like the core influences that we have as a band are, AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and that type of stuff. Personally, like I love I love a lot of the old school thrash metal stuff like Slayer and early Metallica and like 70s punk rock and that kind of stuff. So our sound is kind of a mishmash of influences, but it's at the end of the day, it's just we just play rock. We're just a hard rock band.
And a fun one at that. And that leads really to Hop's question about the video. Jump in there, Hop.
Yeah, the video looks like y'all just have a blast and just love what you're doing. And you can feel you can actually see the passion on what y'all do when you watch y'all's shows and stuff.
Yeah, man. It's playing music it's what we do. And, we have done this for a long time, playing in bands since we were teenagers and stuff. And, it's who we are. It's what we do. It's what we enjoy. And, that's it. It's who we are.
Chris, I'm going to frame this. Hop put the list of questions together. I've got your homepage up, and I put it in the comments, by the way, as well. But I'm reading through it, and he pulled basically the very first line on your homepage where it says, "We want to play rock and roll the way you want to hear it, loud, unapologetic, 100% live with no tracks." And we love that. Talk to us about what that looks like, what you guys do to prepare, how you interact with the fans. What can I expect when I come see you live?
Man, as far as the live show goes, honestly, there's not a lot of thought put into it. We just get up on stage and we just do what we do. And we don't really think about it too much. We work out our set list and, how we're going to transition from song to song. But that's about it, man. There's nothing pre-planned. And, as far as, interacting with the fans, we always, joke that no one's ever going to have to pay to meet us. We're out there. We're, the guys are either hanging out at the bar or we're hanging out at the merch table or whatever. We're just out there hanging out and before and after the show. So, that to us, it's all about connecting with them and hanging out with everybody. And
well, I love that. My wife and I work together. We do some stuff in a different industry and so on, but ours is audience driven too. We need to interact, and that's something that we appreciate about any band Hop and I go to see. Is, gosh, if we get to meet, if I love physical CDs because I can get them signed at the show. It's not so much about the listening, but it's A, it supports you more than a stupid stream, and B, it's cool to have that signed CD with it because I got to interact with you.
Yeah, man. Things are so much different nowadays than it was, say like when I was a teenager, or, you guys were, in high school, middle school, whatever, coming up. Back then it was this, elusive rock star. You never got to, you were lucky if you get to meet them and all that sort of stuff. And things have just changed, and it's all about, making those connections and meeting them and talking to them. And to us, those, yes, we miss the days of, the big over the top rock star, vibe and all that sort of stuff. And I love that, but it's just for a band like us today, it's about out there, about being out there and meeting everybody.
Well, and to me, I mean, Wes said earlier, I know we're like huge Jackal fans. We're huge Kicks fans. And the reason we like them bands is Zach Wild is because they took time out to talk to us and were really cool and super cool and all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember being, a teenager, and, I was a fan of band, whatever bands, and, I'd hang out after the show back by the bus and whatnot, trying to get an autograph, and they, tell you no, or they'd walk right by you and just like you're not even there. And like, I get it. We aren't a band that's on a level of a Guns N' Roses or someone major like that. I get it all day long, but I can't, imagine telling somebody, no, I'm not going to sign something for you.
Yeah. Chris, I've written a couple books now, and it never ceases to just absolutely humble me when somebody says, hey, will you sign the book? I'm like, first off, shit, you're really going to read the book I wrote? And I'm absolutely going to sign the book. Thanks for being here, because that's how we get paid, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's why one of the reasons why we started doing this. We wanted to have fans of what we were doing. And when somebody comes up and asks you for an autograph or a picture or whatever, and you tell them no, I mean, that changes their whole perspective of how they see you.
100%. There was a band that I loved through the 80s and into the 90s. Hop and I saw them play live in the late 90s, and the lead singer was an absolute dickhead. And I can barely even listen to their studio stuff anymore because of it. Music's still the same. He just turned me off.
Yeah, there's a few of them out there.
Yeah, he's been in a Geico commercial over the last few years, if you're wondering. Something about rodents. I don't know. Steven, you know who you are. Fight me. Bob, jump in on the next one, brother.
I get it. Sometimes it's like being on tour. You get tired, and night after night. I get it. But you don't. To me, you just don't do that. So,
amen.
And that's why people love that. I mean, that's why they continue to go see the bands. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
But I seen where y'all just got back from a European tour. How was that? Did that go over pretty good and John Blast?
Yeah, it was good, man. It's awesome. We usually go over there like once or twice a year. It depends. We did 7 shows in the UK, and then we had a festival in Belgium, Wildfest. And then we had, where else were we? We were in Belgium, we were in Italy and Switzerland. So we did like 14 shows. So it was a lot of fun. We loved playing over there.
Does it go over well in Europe then? Because I know Blacktop was talking about Blacktop Mojo, there's some, we've got to know them real good, but they talked about, playing over there and how well their stuff went over there and all that.
Yeah, man. It's a different world over there. We we love playing in the US. We just haven't been doing it as much lately as we used to. But we do have some stuff coming up later in September this year, and then we're back. It's like East Coast, Midwest, and then we're got 2 or 3 shows out west in November. But it's I don't know, man. It's just different over there, and it's one of those things where you've got say a few bands on the bill, and everybody gets there early. They want to see the opening bands, and they support everybody. And it's not a case of, oh, what time are you guys going on? So that's when I can show up. So it's different.
Chris, to me, I've never been to Europe. It seems like a wildly different scene. I watch how massively successful Alter Bridge has been. And they're successful here, but they're not Creed. And in my mind, if I put the two side by side, it's two completely different worlds. And it's the opposite there. Do you see that same thing as where you guys compare your tours here versus your tours there?
Oh yeah. Our shows over there are way bigger than they are here. And the frustrating part to us is we basically, when we go over there, we get anchor dates around festivals, and then we book our own shows around it. And we can't get on any festivals in the US. And we've done some small ones, like we did, we've done some outdoor ones. We've done some like amphitheater stuff, but, and we've done like some club type festivals, but, we can go over there and, play to 5,000-6,000 people, and it's just a festival, that pulls, 10, 15, 20 plus thousand people. Like, we can't get them here. So it's different. Like everything over here is buy on, and we're not going to do it. So we don't do them.
Hop and I have this conversation every time we're going to see a band that's not the mainstream national act. And we say, dear God, what's wrong with people? Because we're going to be in a crowd of 300, 400, 500 watching this amazing band, and people are flocking to this other bullshit show to watch things like, well, I won't even say the names, that just aren't good. And wow.
Yeah. But, everyone asks us all the time, why don't you guys tour with so-and-so or do this with so-and-so in the US? And it's bands that we've opened up for when they come through town, or something, a band that we've done, other, festival type of things with. And it's like, it comes down to their management and the agencies, and they want, like I said earlier, they want everybody to buy on, and we're not going to do it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, don't blame you a bit for that.
Yeah, I know. But doing this show, we've seen, we've talked to a lot of people and seen a lot of inside stuff that I never dreamed goes on in the music business. Like, that's just crazy stuff.
Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So talk to us, Chris, about something, maybe the coolest thing you've seen on the road, be it backstage, on stage, at a festival, whatever. Maybe then one of the strangest things you've seen, because sometimes the strange ones comes out for those.
The coolest thing to me, there's a couple. To us, it's, we go to the other side of the planet, and to have the crowd singing our songs to us is the best.
Yeah, that's gotta be
it's crazy to us when we see fans with like Kickin Valentina tattoos and shit like that. It's cool, but I was like, oh, I wouldn't get my band tattooed on me, but but it's awesome. It's that kind of stuff to us that it's cool to go and see people that love your band, love what you do that much, or they tell you a story about what a song meant to them,
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever. That is that kind of stuff that's cool to us. Crazy. I mean, there's been a few like stalker types over the years.
That's wow.
Probably one of the funniest things, we played in where was it? Somewhere up in like Pennsylvania, I think it was. I can't remember. And some guy rolls in there in like a big giant inflatable dick costume, and we're like, okay, all right. Tonight will be interesting, I guess.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Really don't have no words for that.
Yeah. I've got a lot of words, but we'd have to. Hop, I'm thinking of when we were talking with Jeff Worley backstage. That's exactly what's going on in my mind. Where he said, "You just never know."
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, that's inside, Chris. I'll tell you when we're not recording. Hop, jump in on the next one.
I seen you released the raw tracks. Let me see, raw tracks, B-sides, and bootlegs.
Yeah.
What was the thinking on that? Was that just to get some stuff you had laying around out there? And
yeah, pretty much, man. We had when we did the Star Spangled album, we wanted 10 songs on it, but we had 13 songs that we had kind of narrowed everything down to, and we couldn't decide. There was a few of them that we weren't really sure about, and we kind of were like, all right, let's go in, let's record them, and then figure it out. And we liked everything, but when it came down to it, those songs, for various reasons, we felt like didn't fit the vibe of the rest of the record. So we were like, all right, we're just going to hang on to these and figure out what we're going to do with them later. And so we just decided, we kind of went back and forth. We just released them, streaming, we had kicked around the idea at one point about just putting them on like a, limited edition, like, vinyl or something like a 45 or whatever. But then we decided we would just, put them out and package it up with some live stuff and some demos. And, because we wanted to get the songs out there. And so we did that, to get it released, like, right before our last tour.
Well, another thing I'm glad to see is y'all still release full length albums. We're me and Wes old school, and I'm all about diving into an album and just listening, more than just one track.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. We I get it. I hear all these people talking about keep release a bunch of singles and so on and so on. It's like, no, we want to put an album out there, and we want to make the packaging in the album cool, like it was, back in the day. And it's like, so our album, our CDs, the last couple of ones we did on Digipack. So, there's the booklets in there and all the artwork and the lyrics and everything. And, same thing with the vinyl. And, it's like, I remember, you buy a record and you get it, you put it on, and you sit there and you stare at all the artwork and everything, like while you're listening to it. And so we just wanted to create that kind of feeling again, so, and it's crazy the amount of vinyl that we actually sell. So it's just that they buy it as much as they do CDs and stuff. So, so yeah, we want to put out a full product, a full album, and not just a bunch of singles on Spotify.
Yeah. So, Chris, you mentioned in that question that Hop just asked about the B-sides, raw tracks, and so on, the Star Spangled album. Talk about that a little bit.
The Raw Trax album?
No, the Star Spangled album.
Oh, Star Spangled album. Sorry. Man, that record, we ended up, Jesus Christ, I think we wrote like 20 something songs for that record. And we just, like I said, we kind of scaled it down to 10 that we were going to release. But that was a fun record. It was a fun record to make. And, you know, we all kind of feel like that's our best record that we've done to date, you know, from top to bottom. I think it's more cohesive from beginning to end than some of our earlier ones.
Yeah. Now I've shared the homepage, but off the homepage, while you were chatting through that, I made sure that I could get to it. So under merchandise, there's options for all that different stuff: the vinyls, the CDs, the digipacks, and so on. So if you're seeing this anywhere, make sure you check out Kickin Valentina's homepage and go shop their merchandise, because that's how bands get paid.
Yes, it is.
That's a big deal.
And we want them to keep doing what they're doing.
Absolutely. Chris, one of the things I really like doing with this is, Hop and I love the music. I enjoy hearing how the show runs aspect as much as anything. Talk about what you guys put into writing the music, recording the music, or even making sure that you've got your shit together to play a strong set live. Because what you see on stage or what you hear on the CD is a fraction of the work that goes into making sure you've got good things together.
Oh, absolutely. We for us, it's a little bit different because 3 of us live here in Atlanta and our singer lives in California. So we don't get to rehearse on a regular basis, you know, like a normal band would, I guess. So when we get ready for a tour, me, Heather, and Jimmy will get together and get, you know, the music down. And, you know, we'll figure out a set list and everything. And then we, you know, DK flies in a few days prior. And so we'll usually get a few rehearsals with him before we leave, and we'll work out all the details, whether, you know, we're rearranging the set list because something's not flowing or whatever. And we figure out, you know, just like, you know, transitions from one song to the next, and, you know, stuff like that, and, you know, rehearse, you know, all of our backups and whatnot. But, you know, that's about it. You know, we just, the 3 of us just get everything down before, so when DK gets here, we're ready to go.
And I mainly ask that because those are countless hours that you put into getting everything right. It's not just magical boom, it shows up and boom, you're on stage. It's a lot of work, man.
So. It's preparing for a tour, especially over there. It's a lot of work, you know. So there's a lot that goes into it. So by the time, you know, that sometimes the tour rolls around, you're like, oh my God, you know.
Yep. And the reality, man, is if you don't truly love what you're doing, all that back end work, you're not going to do it well.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And if you don't do it well, you're not going to be good when you do it for other people. So I mean, it's got to be a passion thing.
It is, and you know, you're right. If I mean, there's a lot. You know, I sit down, you know, hours and hours before we leave for a tour, and, you know, it's just the logistics of things, and you know, it's a lot sometimes, but, you know, we love what we do and we love touring, and you know, once you get through all of that, you know, then it's time. All right, let's go have some fun.
Yep. Very much so. Hop, do you want to take the last one on the list?
Yeah. You know, you was talking about doing some shows. Got some shows coming up. What's y'all's tour look like, and where y'all touch base at, stuff like that, I guess?
Man, we're going to be actually announcing some dates later this week, a little bit more, but we're doing some dates with Bad Marriage, and
right. Is that now, Tommy? Is that
Yes, Tommy Skio's band. Yeah. So we're I know there's some stuff in South Carolina, a couple shows up in Michigan. We're trying to fill. There's some other dates that we're still trying to fill in, but it should be a week and a half worth of dates, I think, once it's all said and done. So like I said, it's mainly going to be like East Coast up through like Detroit. There's one in Saginaw, Michigan. And then in November, we're playing at the Whiskey with Spread Eagle. And then we've got a show at in Fresno. And we're trying to fill a date for that Friday still. But we were trying to get into Vegas, but turns out they're having the Formula One racing out there that no venues are booking bands. So we're trying to figure out where we're going to play that Friday.
There's a story that I'm not going to tell on the recording, but when we end the recording, I'll share with you about my Vegas experience.
Okay.
I was no longer in Kansas. I'm a country boy. It is what it is. Holy moly. We'll save that for when there's no recording going on, because my wife just rolls her eyes every time I share it publicly. Yeah.
Where are you guys from?
We live in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. We're about 2 hours out of DC, about 2 hours out of Richmond.
Okay. All right. Because when I saw the video, when you guys were talking about the song Gotaways, I was like, you just Southern guys. Where are they from? I couldn't place the accent, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty big accent, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
That's what we've been told anyway.
Originally from North Carolina, so I'm the only one in the band that's actually Southern, even though we're based in Atlanta.
Yeah, I enjoy being a hillbilly. It's as I've used the Grammarly process and doing the copy editing for books, they're like, take this out. And nah, that's me. If you take that out, I'm no longer there. But
that's too funny.
No. So with that said, one of the things that we would love to be able to do is help you connect in this area, in the Virginia area. We know some of the venue owners and promoters, so we'll work on that too. We can talk about that more offline as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and that's part of why we do this, is how do we help folks get some visibility. And
okay, cool. Yeah. We'll definitely talk about that. I appreciate it.
You bet. Chris, what have we not asked you that you really want to make sure that we share about? You mentioned writing some new stuff and a record coming out.
Yes, we have started writing, and it's still kind of in the very beginning stages. But our goal, knock on wood, is to have another record out next year. We are going. We've got some stuff that we're going to be announcing soon, but we're going back to Europe next fall. And it's probably going to be about a month-long tour. So the plan is to have the album out before we go back. But we're writing right now and trying to figure out where we're going to record it and all that sort of stuff.
How much time would you say you guys have into an album?
Oh, writing an album? Oh my God, no idea. Man, I don't know. It's writing an album is like months.
Because I heard you say you probably had 20 songs written for Star Spangled. You went with 10 of them. You've got some B-sides and so on. Yeah. For my end, I mean, when I'm writing a book, I estimate between 750 and 1,000 hours into writing the book.
Yeah.
And that's before we deliver a keynote, we do any of this other stuff that goes along with it. That's just making sure it's a effing book that's gets published.
Yeah. I mean, we might, I've still got all of the recordings of a lot of those songs that didn't make it. We might go back and revisit some of it and, maybe take a little piece of this or a little piece of that, and see what comes from it. But you never know. Sometimes something just didn't work at that time. It's like I like this riff, I like this intro. The verse wasn't working, or the chorus wasn't working, or whatever, and you just kind of start tweaking some things, and you never know what comes out of it. So we might go back and revisit some of those older ideas and just see what's there.
Yep.
But Yeah, I haven't listened to it since we recorded it, so I don't, you know.
So I've been into Brother Kane since mid 90s. I just absolutely love them. And they did their 30th anniversary release of their title album from 1993 last year, the year before, whatever. And they had 2 bonus tracks on that. One's called Rattle My Bones. And Chris, it's one of my favorite Brother Kane songs ever. And I'm still just scratching my head of how didn't this make the cut ever? And it's just what you said. Hey, it wasn't working now.
Yeah.
And
yeah. You know, when we released those 3 songs on Raw Trax, we didn't know how people were going to receive them. And, you know, we liked the songs. We just didn't feel like they kind of, like I said, they didn't fit the vibe of the rest of the album. And then, you know, the reviews started coming out and fans started saying, well, why weren't these songs on the album? And so, you know, it's cool. I'm glad everybody liked it. We didn't know how people were going to receive it. But, you know, like I said, at that time, you know, you're kind of in one headspace, putting something together. And at that time, they just didn't feel right. But, you know, I'm glad people have received them well.
I appreciate you sharing that. Hey, we keep them. They're there. And we go back to them if we need, because man, don't ever throw it away because you put your life into that stuff. You never know where it's going to come back again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that probably happens a lot. I mean, a lot of stuff, you know, that makes it big, you know, like Beth, for example, by Kiss. I mean, who would have thought that had been their biggest song? It was just a B-side to Detroit Rock City.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I alluded to it, then I got on that new album. What should we be asking you that we haven't touched on? What do you want to make sure we get in before we call it done?
Oh man, I think we kind of hit on everything. It's just, you know, we're going to be announcing some tour dates soon. Stay tuned for that on our Facebook page. And hopefully this week we'll announce some of the initial dates. And share it to help us, you know, promote the tour. It's going to be a fun, you know, some fun shows. We've played with Bad Marriage before a couple times, and they're awesome guys, and we're looking forward to going out and doing like an actual tour with them. You know, and you know, like I said earlier, we're writing new music and hope to have a new album out next year sometime.
Cool deal. I'm excited for it.
I can't help myself. I'm going to ask, what's your progression? Are you usually shooting for an album every year to 18 months?
Oh man, we would love to do an album every year, but that never happens.
Yeah, I didn't.
We do the thing is, it's like we'll put an album out and then we tour, and then you know, then there comes a time where it's like, all right, shit, now we got to write. You know, so we have to stop playing and sit down and focus on that. Then you're in the studio and you're trying to squeeze shows in, you know, here and there, and it just becomes very, very hectic. You know, so it's about every couple of years, I think we'll put like a full length album out. You know, which we could do it every year, but we can't.
Yeah, my point in asking that question is just, again, back to how much goes into it. To do what you guys have done to this point, to be able to tour, to be able to write music, it's a hell of a lot of time that goes in. Well done, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Pop, anything else from you?
No, I don't think I got anything else. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Chris, this is fantastic, man. We really appreciate getting to meet you in person like this, being able to have you on and chat a little bit. And gosh, we look forward to, as you get shows, especially if we can lure you into this part of the coast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Something that helps promote the shit out of where you're going to be playing.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll talk about that, you know, and see what we can work out. So, but you know, thank you guys for having me on here, and you know, responding to my comment that I put in your
I said to String, and I was like, dude, he actually watched our video.
I did. You know, in our email we get like alerts from Google, like anytime our name pops up and stuff, it sends us alerts. I was like, oh, okay, what is this? You know, let me check it out. I was like, oh, okay, these guys are talking about the Godaway. So I watched it, and I thought it was pretty cool that you guys did that. So
yeah, it all worked out cool.
Yeah.
They did a review. There's some guys we saw open. They were touring with Blacktop Mojo and Clutch about a year ago, called the Native How, out of Detroit. Fantastic guys, and they posted a video. Hop and String posted a video of their Mercy song that they did with Lizzie Hale the night before we saw them play. And I didn't know who they were. I'm just an idiot. I'm working all the time, right? And Hop didn't realize they were on the bill. We were going to see Blacktop. We weren't even paying attention to Clutch. If I'm being honest, we were talking to Native How and Blacktop afterward. And he tells the singer, guitar player, yeah, we just posted a video, and he's grueling Hop. I mean, just drilling him. Were you mean? Did you do this? It was like, and it's been a fantastic interaction with those guys ever since. I mean, just cool guys. So they enjoyed the reactions, the reviews of the videos. I enjoy this part to where we get to chat with you and say, hey, what makes it tick? What's behind the scenes look like? So appreciate you being willing to do it.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Hop's Metal Show Land, thanks for being with us. Chris, hang with us as I kill the recording. We'll talk about some stuff offline and call it done.
All right, cool.
Thanks so much, guys.
Hop Metal Show.